is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Limited Resources. This episode number 601. My name is Marshall. I'm one of your Limited Resources, and joining me on the line all the way from Denver, Colorado, it's Luis Scott-Vargas. Luis, how's it going, bud?
Well, it's going great. It's been pretty hot out, but you know what? We're all right with that.
I'm still reeling from my midweek cube run-in with you.
Oh, yeah.
So brutal. God. I'm sitting here at home, just play a little arena cube. And then I get paired up against Luis, and I beat him in the first game, and I'm like, oh, he's got to be streaming, right? I look, he's streaming. I'm like, I'm going to put a loss on this guy on his stream. This is going to be amazing. Oh, my God. And then it was basically a spell pierce and a disallow just sort of eviscerated me over the next two games.
Yeah, I was mono blue, and you were like Jeskai value, and I managed to pull off a pretty nice little mono blue mill deck that sided in spell pierce and got your magma opus. Then you played the uncounterable Chandra, and I disallowed the trigger.
It was so sick.
To kill my 2/3/1s.
Yeah, he has 2/3/1 flyers. I play uncounterable Chandra, and it's like it resolves, obviously. And so then I -3 to kill both of them. So if this happens, I have Chandra the Planeswalker on the battlefield against mono blue with no board whatsoever, and I can just start throwing emblems at Luis, and instead he disallows the trigger, kills Chandra with one attack, hits me for 3, and the whole entire game falls apart. That was fun, though. I wish that would happen more often, but there's so many people playing on Arena that it's actually pretty rare that you get paired against somebody that you know. I remember on Magic Online, that would happen somewhat frequently. You know, oh, this guy again, or oh, yeah, there's Woody, or whatever. But here not as much. Speaking of drafts, we're going to be doing some drafting today on the show. We're going to do our Strixhaven draft walkthrough. We're going to be going through 2 full drafts with you here. We're going to be verbalizing what's going on for those of you who are listening without video, which is most of our audience. But we do put each show up on YouTube as well. And there will be that, so you can follow along with the visuals if you want to check that out, just to kind of see what's going on with the booster packs, because we read all the relevant cards, but you know, you can get an even bigger picture there. So that's what we're going to do on the show this week. First, let's thank our sponsor, channelfireball.com, place to go for everything you need Magic related, and a couple of cool things coming up. One of them from CFB directly, Luis, is another CFB Pro Showdowns coming up on the weekend. Yeah,
so this weekend, Huey's going to be your end boss, and you know what? You can join the CFB Pro Showdown pretty cheaply by just joining CFB Pro. That's it. It's a free tournament for members of CFB Pro, and we're giving away $1,000 of store credit. Plus, if the end boss loses, that's another $1,000. So, really sweet tournament, single limb, always a lot of fun. The vibe on the CFB Pro Showdowns is always so sweet. It's like my favorite part about the Pro Showdowns, and one of the reasons they're my favorite tournaments. I've done commentary or been the end boss a bunch of times. So you can go to channelfireball.com/pro to sign up and get access to Pro for the tournament.
Geez, you get a chance to play against Huey. That's worth the price of admission right there. And also, I want to remind you that that tomorrow, as if we record, that's Thursday the 17th, we're going to be doing our showdown of a different order. This is our Lords of Limited versus Limited Resources showdown. And we're going to be playing Modern Horizons 2.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty shortly after it came out, too. So there's going to be a lot of reading. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, that should be fun. And those have been really popular, and people seem to like watching those. So each of us will be streaming from our own setup as well. And I know a lot of people like to do it where you watch multiple streams at once, and you can actually watch the entire draft depending on how you want to set up your streaming, your multi-Twitch, if you will. So, yeah, so that'll be fun, and we'd like to check that out. But back to Channel Fireball, make sure you check them out for anything you need. And if you do sign up, say, for CFP Pro so you can play in the showdown, make sure you use the affiliate code LR. It helps out the show, and we do appreciate it. Also, speaking of helping out the show, patreon.com/limited resources is a place to go if you want to give back to the show. It's what keeps it's the lifeblood, really, of this podcast. And if you're interested in checking it out, you get a thank you card in the mail. And
well, hold on.
What's up?
The lifeblood of the podcast is Arnold Palmer's. The Patreon helps, but the lifeblood of the podcast, let's be real here.
Yeah, you're right. That is true. God's nectar itself. There's so many. I now have 2 brewing things of tea, Luis. Like, I got one from our longtime listeners, Vazda, and then I have another one that I bought now. And basically, like, it lets you brew the tea like iced tea style, where you brew half of a thing of tea and then you pour ice into the rest to like freeze the brewing process in place. And yeah, I got quite the setup here. You'd be jealous. I'll show you one day. But anyway, the second lifeblood of the show is Patreon, and you can check it out over there. Like I said, you get a thank you card in the mail, and there's a bunch of perks and bonuses that you can get. But mainly, just want to say thanks to everybody who supports us over there. We do appreciate it. One of the cool things you get as well is you get access to the Patreon question of the week. I actually sniped this one from our last Q&A show, which is also where we get our questions from our patrons. This one's from Cameron, who says, actually not a longtime listener of the show. For shame, says Cameron, having gotten back into Magic over lockdown after putting my cards down when Lorwyn was new. So that's actually a really long time now. Lorwyn was the set that was out when I first came back to Magic. So we're talking like 2008 range here. So Cameron's had a long hiatus there. One thing I've noticed since falling back in love hard with Magic is that the most recent sets seem to make much more effort to have interesting thematic new mechanics like Foretell, Magecraft, and Ward. Could it be that I'm misremembering how the old formats work, though, as it was a good few years ago? Do you think that there's a risk with the new mechanics that they just fizzle as sets rotate? Are there any of the new mechanics which aren't currently evergreen, which you think are good enough for the game that you'd be sad to see them go? You know, because they are coming up with new ones every single set, right? 2 to 3 new mechanics. Yeah. And then I can see what Cameron's saying. Like, that's a lot of pressure, and they're going to have a lot of similarities. So a lot of them are just going to kind of fade from memory right away. That definitely seems like, I don't know if I'd call it a risk. It's just sort of part of the deal if they want to introduce new mechanics consistently. But the more interesting part is which of the mechanics that you've seen recently, Luis, any of them stand out as like, you know, we could keep, like, would you keep Foretell if you could as an evergreen mechanic?
No, I think Foretell isn't hit the check the boxes. I like to see an evergreen mechanics. It's okay. Mm-hmm. I think Magecraft is a better way of doing prowess in some ways. Mm-hmm. The copying part is a little bit weird because copying spells doesn't happen very often. Right. But I like that it has, you know, it pays you off for doing something you want to do, which is cast instants or sorceries. And I actually kind of like that it doesn't count like non-creature spells like artifacts or enchantments. Yeah. Because that's one of the things that, like, it does work with prowess, and I mean, that's fine. It's not a big deal, but I just don't think that that's that very interesting compared to Magecraft being about spells. I do like that. I think Magecraft could actually stick around just fine and, in fact, potentially replace prowess. But yeah, it's always a danger, right? Because you have two competing things going on. On the one hand, you want your new sets to have new mechanics, to have things that are different from everything else, and parasitic ones or really linear ones that like combine with each other or within itself, like splice onto arcane, or, you know, that things like even Foretold's not really parasitic, but it's very specific. Like you kind of want those because they give your set flavor, and they're you know, something that's really new about the set. It's hard to balance that with wanting to make mechanics that could fit into any set. And you always have to kind of just figure out, do I want cards that will play well with everything, or do I want cards that will play well with only within the set but be really fun within those? Actually, Adventures is a good example from Eldraine. Mm-hmm. Cards, I mean, Adventures were too good, but that's a completely separate thing. That's a balance thing. That's not really what we're talking about. But like when you look at cards like Lucky Clover or Edgewall Innkeeper, they're really cool. They play with Adventures. The downside is, you know, you're not going to get Adventures in any set for a long time because it's just not an evergreen mechanic. That's just not how it works. Right. It's just way too narrow, way too strange. Like, it's just not something you're going to see all over the place. And that's a little unfortunate because your Edgewall Innkeeper deck's not going to get any new cards for a while that work with that. Right. On the other hand, though, something like Cycling, which was an Ikoria, you can print Cycling cards in every set, you know, if you want to. They print Cycling cards in a lot of sets. Well, Cycling's not that evocative. I don't even know what's going on in Cycling. You know, like it's not something that people are like, whoa, Cycling. It's a cool mechanic. It plays well, but it's not that evocative. So you kind of have to balance where you want to go. And it's tough to figure out the best kind of way to do that.
Yeah. You know, the thing that I've liked that they've done most recently is find ways to make things that were absolute a bit more granular. Like Ward really comes to mind, where Ward used to be Shroud and then at some point Hexproof. an hexproof is an on and off switch, right? It's just you can either target the thing like normal, or if it hexproof, you can't. And that's it. And with Ward, they were able to open up an entire design space that is, okay, fine, you can target it, but you're going to pay a price for it. And we can vary that price with life loss or creatures or drawing cards or, you know, whatever they want, getting stuff back, milling. I mean, it doesn't even matter. They can just pick and choose however they want it to fit in. And that way, it takes away that non-interactive part of hexproof, which I've always disliked. But it also replaces it with something where it's in between, and they can really tweak that. They can make it very strong, right? If it's a mythic rare that has ward, you know, they can really punish you or make it difficult for you to target, or if you do target, you know, you pay the price type thing. But if it's on a random common, yeah, make it cost 1 extra, 2 extra, or give them a 1/1, you know, token or something along those lines. Lose some life, as we've seen on these ones. And that's a mechanic that I think, you know, I would look forward to seeing more of that and less of the more absolute ones like hexproof and stuff. Great question, Cameron.
Yeah, I think Ward is definitely an upgrade to hexproof, and I expect to see Ward more than hexproof in the future, because you can make a really punishing Ward if you want to simulate hexproof, like Ward pay 5 life, or Ward the opponent draws 2 cards or something, without completely cutting off the gameplay like hexproof does.
Right, exactly. Okay, well, Luis, let's jump into the queue here because, well, I don't know exactly how long we're going to have to wait, but oh, look, there's already 6 in the queue. So we're going to start off by doing, I think this is a best of 3, and then we'll switch over after this one and do the draft for the premiere. But it is worth keeping in mind, right, that we're doing best of 3. So cards like sideboard cards actually matter here. We'll have to keep that in mind. That's really, I think, the only difference, right? I guess, you know, I'm more likely to draft a slower deck in a best of 3. You know, there's been kind of an uptick in the Silver Quill decks on the best of 1. And this happens pretty often. Best of 1 tends to favor aggressive decks a little bit. And, you know, best of 3 is a little less so.
Yeah, I have liked Strixhaven quite a bit. Overall, I've found it to be a pretty satisfying set to draft. I think that one of the cool things we're seeing, and this is in combination because more people are playing limited, because 17 lands is becoming more and more a part of the competitive limited players, experience, is we're seeing metagame shifts as people broadly come to understand things more. And it's funny because on Arena, there's a large swath of players who don't do it that way, right? Who just kind of play their drafts and they don't consume any other additional content. But there's enough people who do consume that additional content. And then that kind of propagates a little bit, because let's say you don't consume any content, you don't care, right? You log on Arena, you play your drafts. Well, if you lose to 2 like hyper aggressive Silver Quill decks playing Guiding Voices and Expanded Anatomies, you're going to take from that, hey, maybe this is something I should play. You know, like, oh, that's interesting. That worked out pretty well. And it's the sort of thing that you just see shifts in what's popular and what's not a little bit more pronounced, I think, than maybe you did back on Magic Online and when there was less people playing and when there was less like analysis coming of the set.
Yeah, it's funny because we've always seen shifts, right? It's always been a common thing to see shifts happen in the metagame of limited. It's part of the deal, but it does feel more pronounced now. And the biggest differences that we have over the last couple of years have been Arena and 17 lands. So those have to be the places to look to try to understand how and why. There's also just a natural kind of, if you can't beat them, join them thing, right? If you're playing a lot of best of 1 and you're getting ran over by the deck that you described, at some point you're like, well, screw it, I'll just play that. But, you know, I'm curious to see what the numbers would be on what percentage of games played are best of 1 versus best of 3. I know that I think sometime last year they mentioned it. I don't know if they were talking about constructed or limited, but it was like heavily, vastly in favor of best of 1.
It's like 97% or something.
It was 90 something percent. Yeah, it was like not even, you know, close. And by the way, I believe them because right now we're in the queue for best of 3, and we've been waiting for 2 players to show up, and there's just nobody in there currently. Now, the timing on this is a little tough too, because the Arena Cube is also out right now, and so that's another contributing factor where the people that make Arena always have to try to consider queue health, right? Like these things can fall away if a lot of people are playing best of one, and then the rest of them, maybe the more hardcore players, are like, well, I'm going to stick on best of 3, and then another, popular thing for hardcore players like Cube comes out. I mean, this is, where the Cube's going to suffer. We are at 7 in the queue, though. Story of my life, Luis. So there you go.
Yeah, it's funny whenever people talk about what game modes should be available, whether it's Arena, Magic Online, anything. They're always like, why don't you just offer more? It's just great. It's like, well, you do need people to join the queues, and if you fracture them across 15 different options, the bottom 5 options are a net negative to the program, actually. So, right. I know that's something they do have to keep in mind. But looks like we have 7 willing drafters, so let's hop in.
We're going to jump into the seat here. Now, what do we want to open? So, Luis, for me, when I draft best of 3 particularly, I am teamer the vast majority of the time. I basically just want to see anything that costs 7 or 8 mana, and I'm pretty happy at that point. The cards that we opened are Torrent Sculptor / Flamethrower Sonata. That's a pretty good card. There's also a Returned Pass Caller, which I like. There's a Mage Duel, a Leyline Invocation. What else we got? A Needlethorn Drake, and our lesson is Expanded Anatomy, your favorite.
I do like Expanded Anatomy. I also like Mage Duel quite a bit, and Torrent Sculptor's solid. I would probably lead with Torrent Sculptor. It's a good blue-red card. I don't like first picking a Lorehold card in Return Past Caller. But honestly, maybe I'd just take Mage Duel. Mage Duel is just so efficient.
I would. So for me, the only 2 cards I see are Torrent Sculptor and Return Past Caller in this pack. Like I don't care about Mage Duel. Needlethorn Drake's like kind of a cool card, but not on there. I think we should take the Torrent Sculptor.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I think it's like a pretty good card.
Yeah, it's decent.
All right, so our next pack has, let's see, Emergent Sequence. So that's the one that goes up and searches up a land. There's an Elemental Summoning in the pack. There's an Archway Commons, Lorehold Campus. There's a Professor of Zoomancy. We know how good that is.
Yeah, the cards that stick out to me, I think the best card in the pack is Witherbloom Apprentice. Witherbloom Apprentice is just absurd. Emergent Sequence is also quite good. It's just a great 2-drop. I would take one of those. Given we started with Torrent Sculptor, I guess I would take Emergent Sequence. It's pretty close. Emergent Sequence goes nicely with Torrent Sculptor in the sense that you can play like a Quandrix deck splashing the red, and just get to be able to play the backside of it a fair amount of the time, especially because Emergent Sequence does kind of help a splash. Also, I think it's good to take Emergent Sequence over Witherbloom Apprentice because I just don't want to have to argue with you about not taking the teamer card every pack. So I'm just going to might as well start with a red, blue, and a green card.
Very smart. Very smart. Yeah, the cards I care about here are Emergent Sequence, which I think is just okay. And then I actually want the 5-color land as well. This one always.
Oh, you're a lot higher in Archway Commons than I am. I'm not into taking that card.
Oh, I don't leave home without one, Luis. Like I play at least one in every deck, and I never lose. Like ever, I've never lost in this format. It's been months. Flame Scroll Celebrant is our 3rd pick rare here. This is the one that is a double white card on the back. It's pretty bad. Cards to consider here. There's a Needlethorn Drake. The dual land is a Silverquill Campus, unfortunately.
Yeah, not great.
I would just take the Drake here, but
I'm not unhappy with taking Needlethorn Drake even pretty early. Having like 2 of those just makes it so that your deck doesn't lose those fast starts, very easily. And then there's stuff, there's a lot of things that combine nicely with them, like Ether Helix, for example. That's one of the better combinations where you bounce any permanent, then get back Needlethorn Drake. There's Mage Duel, or even better yet, the tendrils that let you bite them. So Needlethorn Drake's just a good little card.
It is. It also answers one of your more problematic commons, which is Owlin Shield Mage. Ooh, we got Zimone 4th pick here. There's also Teachings of the Archaics, which is the draw 3 that got really low score when we had Sirkovitz on. Mentor's Guidance, Snow Day, Zimone. Those are the uncommons and rares. Out of the rest, there's nothing really interesting. I would just take Zimone here myself.
Yeah, I would take Zimone. This is a pick or two earlier than I would tend to like taking Zimone, but it's fine to take Zimone here. The rest of the cards aren't that exciting.
Yeah, because you mentioned on the show about Zimone being slightly overrated, and I think you're right about that. I think she's a good card. You don't cut her or anything like that. But I think that if you have her like in the same tier as the best uncommons, that's not correct. You should bump her down a little bit, and I agree. But I don't think we should pass her here. She's still pretty solid. All right, next pack has Dark Ritual. There's also Golden Ratio, which I've really not liked. A Frost Trickster, which I have actually really liked. There is an Archway Commons and Lorehold Campus. The other uncommon is a Tenured Ink Caster. I would just take Frost Trickster myself, but where do you like to be here?
Definitely an easy Frost Trickster here. There's nothing here that's making me think we're in an underdrafted color. Like getting a 5th pick Frost pick or 4th pick Zimone is fine. Like we're not getting cut off, but there's also nothing here. It's not like we're seeing a Mage Hunter's Onslaught and we're really missing out on something. Right. Like Inkcaster and Pilgrim are just fine. So I think that we haven't seen a good red card get passed to us yet, so that's worth noting. But blue green seems reasonably open. Like I think Quandrix is a fine place to be for right now.
Okay. So we'll take that. Next pack has Solve the Equation and Semester's End, as well as Infuriate at uncommon. But I'm looking down here to this Elemental Masterpiece, Luis. That's exactly where I want to be. Oh yeah, Elemental Masterpiece is a great splash. You can just discard it to make a treasure if you need to, and then we're on pace to play the Teamer deck that you are going to force regardless of what happens. This is why I play it. It's always here, and it's like unbeatably amazing. It's very good. Next pack up is there's a Resculpt, a Soothsayer Adept, a Vortex Runner, a Biograph in our colors. There's also a Lorehold Campus. There's Attend the Pests to go with the mage that we passed all those turns ago. For me, I would either take Vortex Runner or Lorehold Campus. I never am happy with Soothsayer Adept, so I don't play it, and I never play Biograph either. We're not going to play any of these cards from this pack. Yeah. I might just take Lorehold Campus, just because who knows what's going to happen. Well, we could wheel the bird. I mean, it's not going to happen, but. Yeah. Oh, we got a channel 8th pick, Luis. Ooh. What else is here? Mascot Interception, not so much. Twin Scroll Shaman, no. Reckless Amplimancer, no. Square Up Stonebound Mentor. There's actually just nothing else anyway, so let's take it. I would probably take the Reckless Amplimancer because you might play it, though. Given that we already have Needlethorn Drake and Emergent Sequence and Zimone and Frost Trickster, we're like doing pretty well in early plays. Yeah, I'm not passing channel. Our sponsor would get mad at us, Luis. Oh, yeah. All right, take the channel. Yeah, we'll put it in the sideboard if it makes you happy. All right, here's a pack that we opened. And on the wheel, we see Hall Monitor, Vortex Runner, Unwilling Ingredient, Blood Age General, Owlin Shield Mage, and Ogier Battleseer with a Lorehold Campus. Just nothing here. I guess I just take the runner. Yeah, I would take Vortex Runner here. It's a card I'm reluctantly, willing to play. If you have exponential growth, the like green X double X times, the Vortex Runner can be kind of cute. But yeah, you generally don't really want to play it. Yeah, but that's kind of the state of. Oh, look, your Archway Commons wheeled, by the way, in a pack with a bunch of mediocre red cards. We did it, fam. Yeah, I mean, given the state of Luna these days, like. Vortex Runner is one of the like lower tier blue commons, but it's not that much worse than the other ones. Yeah, it just every card is useful in some fashion. So that's right. Part of the reason that you don't really get punished for kind of like speculating on some picks or what have you. Our next pack just came up, and I'm going to take Teach by Example out of it. I wanted to go through our picks, though. We have Emergent Sequence, Needlethorn Drake, Zimone, Frost Trickster, Vortex Runner, Torrent Sculptor, Elemental Masterpiece, and then 2 lands, a Lorehold Campus, and the all-important Archway Commons. And now we're adding Teach by Example, which is a fringe card. In our sideboard, we have Channel. So there you go. So we have the start of a pretty mediocre Quandrix deck splashing red, but we have 2 more packs left to go. So we'll hope
But the thing is, we haven't passed any premium commons or uncommons.
No.
Like this just hasn't been a really powerful set of packs. Like we're not passing any combat professors or heated debates or anything like Witherbloom Apprentice was the best card we passed, and that was not something that would have worked out all that great to take anyway. So
yeah,
I don't mind where we're at really.
Yeah, the only thing that stood out to me, and we got another Archway common. Second one's much lower value, but
no, it's about the same value in that you should strive to not include it in your deck.
No, they're good. You need them in these decks. Where's the trust? All right, next pack comes up. We've got God's Willing in the whatever slot. Selfless Glyph Weaver, which is also Deadly Vanity. That's white-black card in the rare. Shadewing Laureate, Prismari Apprentice, 10 the Pest round out the uncommons. And then for commons, some decent stuff. There's a Lash of Malice here. There's an Expanded Anatomy, a Scurrid Colony, a Witherbloom Pledge Mage, a Pillar Drop Warden, and a Leyline Invocation. So for me, it's between Prismari Apprentice, Pillar Drop Warden, and Leyline Invocation. Those are the cards that jump out to me. What do you like here, Luis?
The card I think most inclined to take in this spot is Witherbloom Pledge Mage. I like the effect of Witherbloom Pledge Mage quite a bit, and
there isn't one in this pack though.
Witherbloom Pledge Mage?
Yeah, am I missing it?
Yes, you are.
Where is it?
It's right next to the expanded.
Sorry. I thought you meant the other. All right, I'm just going to take it. Go ahead though.
Yeah, I like Witherbloom Pledge Mage a lot. It's just you don't really need early drops because you have a lot of them so far. So the Pledge Mage is something that I'd be pretty interested in.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I thought you were talking about the Apprentice. Sorry.
Right.
That's what I got mixed up. Next one comes up. There's a Professor of Symbology. Ouch. I love that card. Negate, Honor Troll, but there's also Creative Outburst here at Uncommon. The rest of the pack, well, there's another Vortex Runner. There's another Pledge Mage. There's not much else.
I think given where we're at, I guess I would probably take Negate.
Oh, you're crazy. You're off your rocker. We're taking Creative Outburst. This is why we play this deck.
Yeah, I mean, I knew you were going to take the Creative Outburst. I don't know. I like Negate a lot, and you already have an Elemental Masterpiece. I'm not feeling too bad about.
I usually want 3 or 4 7 to 8 mana cards.
Okay.
Like I would play a Bookworm in addition to the Outburst plus the Masterpiece, for example, if we got lucky.
I like
do
all those
love
cards.
Negate though to not to like. I don't want to like Negate's really good in this format, and I will play it. Next one's interesting. There's an Expressive Iteration. There's also another Needlethorn Drake here. There's also Pop Quiz, though we don't have any lessons as of now.
Expressive Iteration is definitely the best card, but it's pretty hard to cast on a timely manner. It depends. It kind of depends on how committed are you to just being Teamer. If that's what the direction you want to go, I think Iteration is not bad. I would definitely take Pop Quiz over Needlethorn Drake though. The second Needlethorn Drake is a lot lower value than the first one.
Okay, so for me, I'm taking Iteration because I'm fully committed to full Teamer. And look at this perfect curve out, Luis. Land, Archway Commons, Expressive Iteration. It's just too good.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I guess if your opponents never play Silverquill, this kind of thing kind of ends up being pretty good.
Yeah, that's the one thing that we're missing right now is removal. We do have the Needlethorn Drake, but some heated debates are cards that we're definitely on the lookout for here, and we haven't seen any yet. We did get an on-color kind of big rare with Culmination of Studies. Unfortunately, it's just a big stinker. So
yeah, technically,
yeah, we can't play it. This pack's actually just bad, kind of up and down. There's Show of Confidence, Claim the Firstborn, Mascot Interception, and Golden Ratio. I think I would just take Arcane Subtraction over Vortex Runner or Reject here.
Yeah, I would take Arcane Subtraction. Reject is really bad.
Really
Do not
bad.
put that card in your deck.
Man, when you get nailed by that card, it sucks.
Arcane Subtraction is really nice when you have multiple Needlethorn Drakes as well. Here's some Teamer payoffs here. We have Practical Research, the draw 4, discard 2, unless you discard instant or sorcery, and then Rutha, which I assume you're going to just take Rutha here, right?
Absolutely, buddy. You know it. There's also a Spectacle Mage and a Pillar Drop Warden, which are cards. If we could wheel something, there are going to be 3 cards left. It looks like no, not on those ones. A little too late in the pack here. We're on the 5th pick of pack 2. But picking up a Rutha is great.
Yeah, Rutha's fantastic. Rutha I splash for. Rutha's a bomb. I know we're not splashing at this point. I'm just saying in general, Rutha's a card I heavily prioritize.
Yeah. Extremely good card. And, you know, if you get to Rutha, one of the expensive cards, it's just GG. All right, next pack coming up.
Really could use some Barian books here.
Yes, we need Barian books and Heated Debate, and we haven't seen any, so that's a little tough. We've got Overgrown Arch, which actually I like that card, except for we still don't have anything to get. There's another Needlethorn Drake and an Elemental Summoning. I want to take the Summoning here because we do have the Subtraction already. Are you good with that?
Yeah.
What's your other choice?
Overgrown Arch.
Okay.
Just as
we'll take it.
As an early defensive card. I don't know. We have like 2 7-drops. We have Expressive Iteration and Rutha. I'm kind of interested in just taking a more defensive card. We will need to pick up a lesson. I want to note that we have no lessons at this point.
Yeah. Which is actually fairly common for this deck for some reason. Okay, so we took the Arch there. Yeah, I'm with you. Especially given our lack of removal thus far. We need it. Next pack has Reflective Golem, Resculpt, Springmane Servant, Square Up, and a Cogwork Archivist in our colors. Oh, I guess Tome Shredder's here too.
Yeah, no cards here that I would really anticipate putting in our deck.
Same. I'm just going to take the Golem and just put it in the board. All right, next up, well, we did find a removal spell. We found a Pigment Storm, which I think we just kind of have to take. I actually would play at least 1 Letter of Acceptance in this deck, if not 2. There's also a Spectacle Mage and a Serpentine Curve. But I feel like we need to do something about taking creatures off the board, so I would take Pigment Storm here. What do you like?
You're playing a lot more colored mana symbols than I'm used to, and I go pretty deep. But yeah, I guess if this is the direction, I don't mind taking a Pigment Storm. Do you follow it up with a Prismari Apprentice? I guess
absolutely. That card's sweet. Yeah. See, I think this is kind of like where the Archway Commons things come in, right? Like if I can spend turn 2 getting a Commons down, then, you know, Pigment Storm and Witherbloom Pledge Mage can play nice together, but otherwise they can't. So we're going to pick Prismari Apprentice here. Just a solid 2. And then we get kind of nothing out of this next pack. I'm going to take Bibliotech's Assistant over Vortex Runner and Bayou Groff. Our deck right now is Arcane Subtraction, Emergent Sequence, Overgrown Arch, Expressive Iteration, Prismari Apprentice, Teach by Example, which probably won't make it, Needlethorn Drake, Zimone, Frost Trickster, Vortex Runner, Rutha, Torrent Sculptor, Pigment Storm, Witherbloom Pledge Mage, Creative Outburst, Elemental Masterpiece, and then that Assistant. And sweet, we actually wheeled the Needlethorn Drake.
Yeah, no, that's a good wheel.
You don't actually need as much removal if you have multiple Drakes. They really do a good job.
They're basically little flying Doomblades. Like they don't kill utility creatures, and they're pretty bad against like first strikers. But against most creatures that you're going to be attacking you, they do the trick.
That's right. So we took that. Next pack has nothing really playable. I'm going to take another Vortex Runner, but put it in the board. And wow, we got all the cards back from that pack. Okay. Practical Research, Spectacle Mage, and the Commons. I like the research here, but what do you like?
It's weird. I would take research here. Okay. It's weird because it does kind of feel like we should be in Prismari, but we also haven't come across like that many of the premium red cards. So it does kind of hard to figure out what's going on here.
All right, next pack's up. We got Silverquill Silencer as our rare, but there is Eliminate Stormkiln Artist, Team Pennant Mortality Spear at uncommon. There's a Field Trip, which could be a pretty important card for us, as well as Silverquill Campus and Expanded Anatomy for the Lesson in the Land. So if we want to splash, then we would splash for Mortality Spear instead of Eliminate. So the question is, do we want Field Trip, Mortality Spear, or are we actually happy with Artist, Stormkiln Artist, which is a card I'm not a big fan of?
We don't want that. I would just take Field Trip. I
think so.
I still don't know that we have to go super deep on red here. Mm-hmm. Like we wield, Prismari Apprentice, and maybe we'll end up playing it or not. But it still looks to me like we could build a base blue-green deck and then splash Creative Outburst, Rutha, and like Elemental Masterpiece or something like that.
Okay, this next pack has Demonic Tutor. Again, not on our colors, but a nice one. Conspiracy Theorist, Shadewing Laureate, Access Tunnel for the rares and uncommons. But I do see a Mage Duel hiding down here, Luis, and I like that.
Yeah, I would take Mage Duel here. I don't think we're supposed to take Demonic Tutor. It's a little cute with Rutha, but I don't think that's...
2 for 1 with Rutha. I've never done that.
It just puts you so far behind on board to spend so much mana doing that.
Return a creature to your hand, too. All right, next is Grape Shot, Illuminate History, which is a lesson, Snow Day, Mascot Interception. There's a Frost Trickster. And then there's also, wow, this is a really good pack. There's Field Trip, Prismari Pledge Mage, and another Elemental Masterpiece in this pack too.
This is tough. I think I would just take, the problem with the double Field Trip is we're now running short on having anything to get with those.
Yes.
We'd have to really aggressively take a lesson. I don't like Frost Trickster though. It might just be Elemental Masterpiece.
I think it's between Pledge Mage and Masterpiece. Let me take a quick look. Yeah, we're good.
I would not take Prismari Pledge Mage here. We have a lot of early plays.
We do, yeah. I just double checked. So I'm going to take the Elemental Masterpiece. So now our top end is good. Like we're good to go there. And we need to focus on any removal spells we can get, and then any just, power curve stuff. Frostboil Snarl is our rare. There's also Infuriate, Fortifying Draft. And then there is a Pigment Storm, as well as a Letter of Acceptance and a Professor of Zoomancy here too.
Given our curve, I'm actually kind of into Professor of Zoomancy.
Kind of am too. Yeah, the only other card that catches my eye really is Letter of Acceptance, because it goes so well in these decks. Replacing itself later if you've already got too much mana, but getting you to the big stuff. But I'm with you. I like the Professor here to stabilize us.
Yeah, and we're late enough in the draft that we're not like that likely to see another letter, but people aren't really going to take it either, so I don't know.
Yeah, we could get it back. It's true. Next pack has the Biblioplex as our rare. Then there's Mage Hunter and Hall Monitor as the uncommons. There's the Teach by Example, Spectacle Mage, Introduction to Prophecy, Spring Main Serve, and Tome Shredder in our colors. I would just take Spectacle Mage at this point. I could see Introduction to Prophecy being a pick, but it's just not really giving us something that we don't already have access to. And we have, one or maybe
I would take Intro because we're playing that. We have to play that Field Trip. I think it's going to be really good in our deck, and I want something to get with it. I also don't like Spectacle Mage, I think, as much as you do, given that you drafted 5 in the showdown.
Yeah, that was an anomaly. But if you look at our deck, we've got Pigment Storm, Practical Research, Creative Outburst, and 2 Elemental Masterpiece. Like, it actually does a lot. Wow, another good pack. Another Zimone, Arcane Subtraction, another Needle Thorn Drake, a Fractal Summoning, and a Leyline Invocation. Good God.
Yeah, this is a lot of action. I'm happy taking Fractal Summoning here. This gives us two lessons to go with our 2 learn cards, and it's a pretty good one to get too.
Yeah, we'll take that. That's fine. Now
this is the kind of deck where I don't love Zimone. I like.
Oh, come on, buddy, Zimone. This deck makes so much mana.
I mean, we just have so much slow stuff that makes me a little. Oh, we also have the Overgrown Arch. Actually, we have 3 learn cards. So yeah, definitely happy taking the Fractal Summoning.
Oh, we have the Subtraction, the Arch, and the Trip, right?
Yeah, we don't have to play Subtraction. With 2 Needlethorn Drakes, I'd kind of like to.
Yeah, I think so too. Next, we pick up a Whirlwind Denial over a second Arcane Subtraction. I really like Whirlwind Denial in this format. I think it's actually just really good.
Whirlwind Denial is strong.
All right, now we have a choice between Letter of Acceptance, Shock, and Ardent Dust Speaker.
I'm really low on Ardent Dust Speaker, and I'm quite high on Shock. Even as a semi-splash, like, again, I think we're obviously going to play a decent amount of red. It's just such an efficient card.
Man, I wish we would have gotten 1 letter here, though. If we wheel that other one, I'll be really stoked. Next is Expel, Study Break, Spiteful Squad, Infuse with Vitality, Lorehold, Pledge Mage, Make Your Mark, and Silver Quill Campus. So just nothing for us.
Yeah, we're not going to play any of these cards.
Yeah, so we're just going to take something random. Next, there's Spirit Summoning, which we technically can play. Access Tunnel, no. Reject, no. Battle Seer, no. Make Your Mark.
I would take Spirit Summoning just on the off chance. Like, it's just no cost to us, and sometimes you'll just have a spot where you actually would play that card.
I'm going to take Snow Day over Mascot Interception, Waterfall, Aerialist, Enthusiastic Study, or Lorehold Campus. I don't know that we'll play it, but it can be a powerful card in lieu of having actual removal, which it is weird. We saw 0 Heated Debate, 0 Burying Books for the whole draft. It's a little, that's not common for that to happen.
Yeah, not great, but it did. That's what did end up happening, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just wrapping up the last few picks. There's nothing of note here. So we can get to the build, and let's see what this thing, so that we can, let our listeners know what the final build looks like. Looks like we need to cut 4 cards from here. I like cutting the Assistant. These all seem fine. Teach by Example can go. Frost Trickster, Runner, Trip. That needs to go on the board. Which one is this? Oh yeah, that one. Maybe Snow Day goes.
I don't mind Snow Day.
What about Pigment Storm? And we were just pretty low on removal. Vortex Runner?
Vortex Runner is the card I would be looking to take.
Sneak, yeah. Okay, so how does our mana look? This gives us 6/8. We don't need Lorehold Campus. So we need more green than this gives us right here.
Yeah, I would say more green and a little bit of red.
And a little bit more red?
A little bit less red. More green and less red, probably.
Okay. Just getting some lands in here, and then I'll read off the final thing. 6. This gives us 8 green sources, and then I suppose we would prefer 1 additional red here for this, and shock. That would give us 6 and
I guess
6.
we don't have not having environmental science is pretty rough. We literally never saw one the entire draft.
Yeah, there's some commons that we play a lot in this type of archetype that just didn't show up. Okay, well, we'll submit this for now. Here's the deck. 1 drops, Shock. 2 drops, Arcane Subtraction, Emergent Sequence, Overgrown Arch, Expressive Iteration, Prismari Apprentice, 2 Needlethorn Drake, and a Zimone. 3 drops, Frost Trickster, Whirlwind Denial, Field Trip, Mage Duel, Rutha. 4 drops, Torrent Sculptor, and Professor of Zoomancy. And it's also worth noting that Torrent Sculptor is also Flamethrower Sonata, so that can be a 2-mana spell if we need it to be. 5s are Pigment Storm and Practical Research with Witherbloom Pledge Mage. And 6s and more are Snow Day, 2 Elemental Masterpiece, and Creative Outburst to go with 4 Island, 5 Mountain, 6 Forest, and 2 Archway Commons. The other thing that happened that's a little weird here is it felt like every single land was Lorehold or Silverquill campuses.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like normally some of those mid to late picks would have been like 1 Quandrix and 1 Prismari or something like that. So those ones didn't show. This is a little bit of a weird version of the deck, but it definitely has the tools to get the job done. What do you think about the deck, Luis? I kind of forced my way through there. So where do you I think it's obvious where I feel about it, but what do you think?
That deck doesn't look very good to me.
You think it's medium?
Yeah, the mana just doesn't work out. I don't think the mana's good. Like the deck again. I mean, part of it was we didn't get environmental sciences, we didn't get enough campuses, but like our mana is just not particularly great, and I don't know that there's much we could do about that given the current setup of the cards.
Yep. That does seem to be the case. Okay, we're jumping into another queue. And I agree, by the way, the mana could be better. I think we really would have been good to wheel one of those letter of acceptances. I play them even when my mana has the dual lands, but we kind of needed one here. It's very strange to see only 2 non-basics in a deck like that. That is not where you want to be. I will obviously go 3-0 with it and send you a screenshot. But.
All right. Well, you know what? If you do, you do. Yeah. That's pretty.
I know you're not rooting against me. Okay.
I'm not rooting against you.
No. The next pack is up is we've got Quandrix Command as well as Village Rites, Emergent Sequence, Fortifying Draft, Witherbloom Pledge Mage for the uncommons and rares. Straight away, there's an Environmental Sciences as well. Isn't this supposed to have a land? Where's the land? What's going on?
I don't think they have to have a land.
Oh,
right?
Okay. I thought they just always did. So what do you like here? Quandrix Command's okay. There's your Witherbloom Apprentice, that you like. There's an Emergent Sequence. There's Esai. What do you like?
I would probably just take Emergent Sequence. It's a monocolor card, and I think the card's pretty good. I wouldn't. My hesitance with taking Witherbloom Apprentice is that Witherbloom pretty much sucks. Mm-hmm. Like you have to have a very specific deck for it to really work out, and then. Quandrix Command, I think, is good, but even in Quandrix, I think I'd rather just have the Emergent Sequence.
Yeah, I think that those are close enough that I would rather take Emergent Sequence as well. So we'll take that. Kick things off the right way here. And then we'll see what we get for our next pick. I'm not going to be forcing it. I'm going to let you steer the ship. We got a Torrent Sculptor here, Luis. It's the same draft.
Torrent Sculptor is worse than Master Symmetrist after taking Emergent Sequence. Mm-hmm. I don't mind a Decisive Denial either, but I would still take Master Symmetrist, I think.
Okay, other cards in the pack. There's a Leyline Invocation, a Pest Summoning, a Spectacle Mage. Pretty mediocre pack, all told. But we're going to stay mono green here and take the Symmetrist. So. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
I've come up on Symmetrist. It really does end up working out nicely for you.
Me too. I really have. Yeah. It just is one of those, it's, the type of cards that I tend to go up on over the course of this format where what do you do for me now? Like if I cast you and put you on the battlefield and it turns out Symmetrist affects combat and then also just reach is super, super important. So we'll take Symmetrist. So we have Emergent Sequence and Master Symmetrist to kick off our premier draft. This is going to be a best of one, so we'll keep that in mind. For me, it doesn't change the way that I draft so drastically, right? I'm not like, I'm not one of those people who's just like completely changing it, but it's definitely good on tiebreakers and changes some things. Okay, next we've got, there's Auric Lore Mage Snow Day, and then the card that me and Luis are oohing and eyeing about, Quandrix Apprentice. There's also another Spectacle Mage and Archway Commons, Spirit Summoning down at the bottom. But yeah, how about this guy?
Yeah, Quandrix Apprentice is fantastic. So it's a pretty easy pick there, I think.
Turns out much better than Zimone in most scenarios.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Didn't think that when I first saw it. But it turns out you basically trigger it every turn in this format.
Yeah, Quandrix Apprentice is fantastic. It not only finds you the lands to play the rest of your spells, but it also, in a long game, like it's actually really funny. So when you play Quandrix Apprentice, if you get one activation on it, you're usually pretty set for lands, right? Because a bonus land for nothing is great. But if you get multiple, all of a sudden you're now in the spot where you never draw lands again.
Right. It's insane. And you can go through your whole library like that. Next packs up, we got Reduced to Memory, Opt, and Zephyr Boots in the uncommon and rare slot. There's a Barry in books. Finally, where you been all my life? Yeah. There's also a Mage Duel and a Fractal Summoning in this pack. Nice pack.
Yeah. Very easy Barry in books, though. This is a good sign for us. This is definitely looking like a Quandrix deck being open. The fact that we got a Quandrix Apprentice third, but also Barry in books plus a bunch of other good cards, later too is very nice.
Yeah, this deck looks sweet. So we'll take Barry in books. We've got Emergent Sequence, Quandrix Apprentice, Master Symmetrist, and Barry. Really good start for a sweet Quandrix deck. I still have Quandrix as my number one archetype if I get the good cards for it. Yeah, but I think we've learned how to draft the others now.
Quandrix is my most drafted deck, I think.
Mm-hmm. Okay, next is Detention Vortex. Containment Breach, Fortifying Draft. Again, there's a Curate, an Introduction to Prophecy, an Elemental Masterpiece, and an Archway Commons. Now, this pack got a lot worse.
Yeah, this pack is a little less interesting. I would probably take Elemental Masterpiece here. I do like splashing that card. I'm not on the full, I'm just going to put Pigment Storm and Needlethorn Drake in my deck, powered by Archway Commons, but I do like Elemental Masterpiece.
Okay, we'll take it. Elemental Masterpiece here. Yeah, that's what I would take too. Ah, yes, Teamer.
Look where we ended up.
Come Teamer to me once again. No, I tried to get out of the way, but it's just the best.
What can you do though? Sometimes there's nothing you can do about it.
It's true. So we add Elemental Masterpiece to our otherwise Quandrix only deck. This looks pretty good though. This is a very, very promising start. I really like that we picked up a stupid Barry in books.
That part's really nice.
Yeah, there's a Tendrils of Agony for you, Luis. What the heck? I'm still wearing my. It's all right.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Needlethorn Drake is the only playable card in the pack, which is nice because that's the card in our colors.
Yeah, so that works out well for us. Sorry, I was still wearing my the loop I wear to work on watches around my neck. I didn't know it.
Oh yeah. A number of people noticed in the.
You could have told me. Live. You could have said, "Hey, you're wearing a weird looking necklace thing, buddy." At least it wasn't on my head. That's where you keep it most of the time. All right, so we've got Emergent Sequence, Needlethorn Drake, Quandrix Apprentice, Symmetrist, Barry in books, Elemental Masterpiece. We're 6 picks through the first pack, and our next pack is Mercurial Transformation, Hall Monitor for the uncommons and rares, Reckless Amplimancer, Campus Guide, Lowerhold Campus. There's a Pillar Drop Warden. Boy, this is a bad pack, Luis.
Yeah, and this pack doesn't really have anything I'm too interested in. I think I would take Pillar Drop Warden. I think I'm the most likely to include that, though I'm not very likely to include it.
That's how I feel, too. We'll take it. I'm going to put it in the board for now.
That's fair.
We'll remember that we have it. If we end up more deeply into the Prismari end of things, then that card's totally fine. But as it stands, on the splash, it's not amazing. Okay, next pack's up, and wow, it's another stinker. Secret Rendezvous, Duress, Go Blank, Defend the Campus, Pigment Storm, Tangle Trap, Make Your Mark, and Excavated Wall.
Oh, damn, it sucks. You're going to have to take a Pigment Storm again.
Yeah.
I know you're real broken up about it.
Yeah, I'm in tears over here. Here's our wheel pack. We wheeled Waterfall Aerialist, Springmane Servan.
Yeah, I would take Waterfall Aerialist. I'm not super likely to play it, but one of the things I do like, and we're in best of ones, so this doesn't really apply, but I've had success siding in Waterfall Aerialists against the decks that are vulnerable to them, like control decks or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
Like that can end up working out pretty nicely, I think.
Pack 1, pick 10, Springmane Servan.
We did it.
we wheeled it. All right. So I think that this is pretty much a case of the packs just not being particularly strong. It's similar to what you said out of the first draft. It's not like we're passing, amazing cards for any deck here.
Our first 5 picks were very good, and then it fell off drastically, but there wasn't that much that I really felt like we were missing either.
Right. Pick 11, Reject, Resculpt, Blood Age General, Tangle Trap. Let's just take a Tangle Trap. I mean, can't even side.
Yeah, we're not going to play the card, but yes, we could still take it.
Okay, put it in the sideboard. So that's 4 picks in a row. Another Springmane Servan. We're just serving them up.
Yes, we are.
Pretty bad. Pretty bad.
We ended up with 5 cards I'd be happy to play, plus Elemental Masterpiece, which might make it there. Not a banner showing, but it's not nothing either.
Well, we got Fortifying Draft. I never end up playing this.
No, that's a Witherbloom card more than anything else for me.
Yeah, then a Resculpt. So a bunch of jank to finish off.
Or if you're really daring, Celestia.
Oh yeah, that's you. All right, pack 2, pick 1. Wow, some of what we've already got. Quandrix Command. There's also another Master Symmetress as well as Snakeskin Veil. The lesson is Expanded Anatomy.
Yeah, I'm in for Quandrix Command now that we're pretty firmly in Quandrix, and it's just a good, efficient card that does a bunch of different stuff for you.
Okay, that'll be our first 3-drop as well. Nice.
Yeah, not bad at all.
So that's a good pickup, a rare for us. Quandrix Command, for those of you that don't remember, is the 1 green-blue instant. You choose 2. You can return a creature Planeswalker to its owner's hand, counter target artifact or enchantment spell, put 2+1/+1 counters on a creature, or target player shuffles up 3 cards from their graveyard into their library. Normally you bounce something and get some counters, and maybe even win a combat by doing so. That can be pretty strong.
Yeah, there's not you really notice it with Divide by 0 that can't bounce tokens. Quandrix Command can, and that makes it a really brutal card.
Okay, next we've got a rare Retriever Phoenix in red. That's a good card. There's Agonizing Remorse, Umbral Juke, Zephyr Boots at uncommon. Expanded Anatomy is the lesson, and then there's a Leyline Invocation and a Biomathematician in the pack for our colors.
Retriever Phoenix is such a messed up card that I think I would just take that, even if it's on the splash. Also, there's no strong Quandrix card for us. If there was a Bury-in Books or maybe a good Quandrix uncommon, I would consider going a different direction. But I think it's a pretty easy Retriever Phoenix here. And see, this shows I'm not on the I'm not a hater. I'm not saying you should never play Teamer. I just think that you went a little deep on Teamer.
Oh god.
And then here we have it. Our rare / mythic in the pack is Mizzix Mastery.
I never get this card, Luis.
Which is just one of the best cards in the format. It's not I think Mascot Exhibition is still the literal best, but very close to being the best. And I'm in for taking Mizzix Mastery. The best blue or green card is Kelpie Guide. There's also a heated debate, but now that we have Mizzix Mastery, first of all, we have Elemental Masterpiece already. Second, we can just draft to be a Teamer big mana deck. I hate that we're here, but you know what?
Let's do it, baby.
Let's throw a Marshall a bone, I guess.
All right, Mizzix's Mastery. I think this is the first time I've gotten this card. I'm so excited. Wow. And now we get the best uncommon in the set passed to us with Igneous Inspiration here. Goes pretty well with Mastery as well.
Oh man, this is just ridiculous. All
We're
right,
getting hooked up now.
So yeah, I mean, I still think we're as funny as it ends up being, we're going to be pretty close to straight teamer now because we have just picked up three obscenely good red cards in a row. We're actually really screwing whoever was passing to us because they're probably in red. But we picked up Retriever Phoenix into Mizzix Mastery into Igneous Inspiration.
That's incredible. There's also a Quandrix Campus and a Fractal Summoning as well as a Scourge Colony. So, an off chance that we wheel something. But yeah, Igneous Inspiration, 3 damage to any target for 2 in a red at sorcery speed. And you learn it's just a clean 2-for-1 in the format. So we're going to take it. Next pack's coming. Ooh, there's a return pass caller. Let's see. Adventure. Hey, you got a dream. Adventurous Impulse. Imperial Transformation. There's nothing here.
No, I don't really like any of these options. I suppose you could Adventurous Impulse. I guess you could just take the pass caller.
I'm taking the pass caller. I mean, we don't have the fixing yet, but we wheel a campus or two. We get a.
Yeah, sure. We need to take environmental sciences like extremely high.
Yeah, we really
at this point in the game.
We do. Next pack comes up. There's a Prismari Pledge Mage. That's it.
Well, there's a cram session, and one of the reasons I like cram session here is, first of all, we're gonna really hope to pick up sciences in pack 3, but also I like cram session as a way to gain a bunch of life and then find something. Like I find it's a pretty good defensive card. Okay. You could take the Pledge Mage, but I'm still hoping to have a lot of green mana sources early. Like we have. I would take
Pledge Mage for what it's worth, because right now we have no lessons, but.
I just think that our mana base isn't going to be that conducive to Prismari Pledge Mage, though I guess we'll see where we end up. Well,
no. I guess I'm viewing us as more Prismari than you, and so is the draft, because it just gave us an expressive iteration. Pick 7, by the way. Pack 2, pick 7 expressive iteration. Like, all right, we won't argue.
I'm wondering now if there's like a way we can end up minimizing green, though that just doesn't fit with how pack 3 is going to go.
This is incredible. So pack 2, pick 8, bury in books. There's also a Quandrix Campus, which we could really use, but I think that we should just be open to maybe no green or lighter green, but whatever. Burying books is just a pick to me.
The problem is we can't play light green because we don't have a single splashable green card except Quandrix Command. Like Master Symmetrist isn't splashable. Quandrix Apprentice isn't splashable, like we're Emergent Sequence isn't splashable. So we're just going to end up in a spot where we just are missing cards to play. We're like Prismari missing cards, which means we kind of have to play the green. Pack 3 is going to really go a long way towards dictating how we end up here.
Yeah, I think that pack 3 is going to be a story of us eating our vegetables whenever possible. Like we're going to be ravenous we already for vegetables.
Mizzix Mastery, Igneous Inspiration, like we have all this stuff, so I guess we kind of have to, yeah.
Okay, we found our first lesson here on pack 11. I just picked 2 non-cards, but it's Introduction to Prophecy, but we'll take it because we've got cards that we need lessons of any sort right now. So, yeah,
it's funny that neither of these drafts.
Oh, the Fractal Summoning Wheel.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Yeah, neither of these drafts did I feel that we were like trying to cheat on our lessons. We just haven't really been in a position to take them. Like, I don't think we saw in environmental sciences, like pick 1 or something, right? This draft, but that's about it.
Yeah, that's it though. All right. We pick up
like that fuming effigy going right into the main deck.
Main deck.
I mean, Mizzix Mastery is the kind of card that can carry an even very medium deck. Oh, do you want to be a hero, Marshall?
Oh my God. Yes, I do. We open Mind's Desire. Is this a thing, Louise? Can I do this?
I mean, if you cast Desire for 1, then you cast next turn Mizzix Mastery, you could Desire for a couple, but no, that doesn't sound very good.
Is there anything else in the pack? There's Snow Day, Arcane Subtraction, a Pillar Drop Warden, a Campus Guide. There's a Mage Duel.
We have a Pillar Drop Warden in the sideboard. That one's making it in all right.
You're right.
So this is tough. God, Snow Day sucks. I don't know. I would take probably Snow Day and be really sad about it.
I think we just have to do something. Yeah, I'm going to take Snow Day.
So what Snow Day does, which is nice, is it's really good with Mizzix Mastery. It's like a setup for it. And it can help you just lock the game down, go through your deck, and then you flash back a big mastery. Now there's a bookworm and a professor of zoomancy. But I feel like we have to make the decision if we want to be like, how much green are we playing? If we're playing green, I think the bookworm still is a fine choice.
I think we're locked into playing some amount of green. And if that's the case, then we should just take bookworm. Doesn't feel great, though. We just don't have any fixing or ramp right now outside of the emergent sequence. We're running a little thin here, but we're willing to take
cultivate over basically anything at this point.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. So we'll take bookworm here and then hope. Oh my God, that's a cultivate. Yeah, baby.
We don't deserve it. But that's fine.
Wow. I got to draft with you more often, Luis. That's the one.
So yeah, cultivate's really going to tie this room together. Like I bet when you play this out, the games where you draw cultivate, you'll win, and the games where you don't, you'll have a much harder time.
Yeah, for sure. There's also a Prismari Campus and an Elemental Summoning. If we get either of those back, it's just a huge gift. Cultivate, that is, as they say in the business. Here's a Eureka moment. Academic Dispute. I generally like that card. I don't know if it fits here so much. No. Lowerhold Campus.
This is a Eureka moment deck. Like we're just straight teamer, I guess, and then using that to kind of get our spells off the ground. Now we have to take Heated Debate, despite there being a bookworm in the pack.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever passed a bookworm in the format, but this deck is legitimately not set up to take advantage of it. It just doesn't have the ramp, on lock. It has 2 ramp cards, so we can still play one, but the second one is like way lower utility. So Heated Debate it is. Plus, we have to keep in mind that cards like Heated Debate work really well with the Mizzix's Mastery. Oh, Explosive Welcome?
Yeah, sure.
We have to hope that somebody makes us discard it so that we can master it.
Is that better than Lightning Helix? Serious question. What's our mana situation? We have Emergent Sequence and Cultivate. We have the past color that we kind of want to play. Did we pick up a Lowerhold Campus in this draft?
There's a bunch of them. There's been 100 of them open.
No, I would take Explosive Welcome, I guess. We'll just not thrilled about the prospect.
This is pack 3, pick 6, by the way. So we're getting a little light on the possibility for lands and I would play at least 2 Letter of Acceptance in a deck like this. All right, well, there's an Introduction to Prophecy and another Eureka moment. Right now we have 2 lessons, right?
Yeah.
Introduction, and what else did we get? I forget.
Fractal Summoning.
So can I just take another Eureka moment?
Yeah, I think so. You just picked up another bunch of 8-drops. Elemental Mastery is actually perfect for this deck.
See, that's a real card, right? Because we can put that in our graveyard. It fixes us, it ramps us, and it works well with Mastery.
Well, we just made it a lot more likely that our Mizzix Mastery turn 3 on Elemental Masterpiece plan works out.
That's right. And we have 2 of those, right? So,
you know what? Time to eat your vegetables, Marshall. I think Campus Guide has entered the building.
I think you're right. I haven't played this since Sealed, but Campus Guide is here.
Start from scratch is actually a pretty good lesson.
Oh, it is. Yeah. Do we want an excavated wall, Luis?
No. We're not there. I know it mills cards for Mastery and all that, but oh wow. And it can mill our Mastery to get our Pillar Drop Warden up. Ooh, a Prismari Campus.
We wielded it. The Prismari and Pretis in this pack too, but we're so interested in this campus, we'll just take it. We got a Lowerhold Campus. That Academic Dispute did come around.
I think you should take Lowerhold Campus. Sure. We already are running a little thin on lessons. Oh, second Lowerhold Campus. Should have taken the Lightning Helix.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we're even going to play these Lowerhold Campuses or anything. But
third one. I did mention there was a lot. All right, last pick, Pillar D.
Oh, wow. That guy's getting right in the deck.
Yeah, that's actually going to make the cut. Last pick makes the cut. All right, so let's take a look at what we've got here. How do we feel about the cram session?
No, I don't think that made it in because we didn't get environmental sciences again, which is the main impetus I had for playing cram session.
Right. This is like the sweetest deck.
I'm just indulging you, and I just
You
really,
really are. Okay, so I'm going to read what we have right now. We need to
is this what it feels like to be you when I'm on my my normal BS?
Yes, it is. This is great.
Right,
You're getting
fair.
it.
That's fair then.
Yeah.
You know what? Like it's just like, oh, this can't possibly work out. Then like, oh, look, a 5th pick cultivate pack 3.
Yeah, right after you call it. How does he keep? Yeah. So emergent sequence, expressive iteration, Needlethorn Drake, Quandrix Apprentice, Campus Guide are our 2s. Heated Debate, Igneous Inspiration, Cultivate, Quandrix Command are our 3s. Fuming Effigy, Mizzix's Mastery, 2 Pillar Drop Warden, Retriever Phoenix, Master Symmetrist, 2 Eureka Moment are our 4s. 2 Burying Books and a Pigment Storm are our 5s. 6s are Snow Day, Return Pass Caller, 2 6s and above, 2 Elemental Masterpiece, an Explosive Welcome, and the Bookie Monster. We need to cut 3 of these.
Looking at this, I definitely want to cut Fuming Effigy. That one's pretty easy. I would cut Return Pass Caller. We're just not short on power. I don't think that.
I think that's not it, and we can cut these.
We can get the Lorehold campuses out.
Campuses, yeah.
And then
that means 1 card that we need to cut. Cards that we could consider. Let's see, Snow Day.
I kind of like Snow Day.
I don't hate it either. Yeah, it's not the first one I would cut. Boy, Quandrix Apprentice is going to do work too. What's our worst creature? Is it our 2nd Pillar Drop Warden?
I'm thinking the 2nd Pillar Drop Warden is probably the card I'm cutting here. You have a lot of 4 drops too. Double Eureka Moment, Master Symmetrist, Retriever Phoenix, and 2 Pillar Drop Warden. So cutting one of the 2,
yeah,
I think works out.
Boy, you're sure right though. If we draw Emergent Sequence or Cultivate, this deck kind of pops off.
Well, we need to change the lands too because it has us playing 5 forests.
What is it? Oh, 5 forests. Yes. And once again, our mana is just lacking here. This is very much a question of mana. So we want to get up to what, 8 forests here? Maybe 9?
I would probably aim for 8 because you have Campus Guide also.
Right.
And then, so if you have to play 8 forests plus the Prismari Campus, that's 9. You have 8 lands left, so that's 4 and 4.
Yeah.
Yikes.
This is like Cultivator bust in many ways.
It kind of makes me want to get. I guess you have Emergent Sequence and Cultivate. Okay, I was just trying to see if you could get maybe 1 more island and 1 less mountain because Quandrix Apprentice is also a card I'm pretty interested in casting.
Yeah. You know, the other thing to consider here is that these 2 Elemental Masterpieces are really likely to get turned into treasure in this build. We can get them back with Mizzix's Mastery, so we have an incentive on that line. And then also just like so that we can cast a Eureka Moment and actually get to critical mass on colors. So you're thinking 1 fewer mountain and 1 more island?
Yeah, I think that's that. I think that's what I would be in for.
Yeah, we're definitely splashing the red. We have like 10 red cards, but okay. So here's our final build. This little masterpiece. Emergent Sequence, Expressive Iteration, Needlethorn Drake, Quandrix Apprentice, Campus Guide are our 2s. 3s are Heated Debate, Igneous Inspiration, Cultivate, Quandrix Command. 4s are Mizzix's Mastery, Pillar Drop Warden, Retriever Phoenix, Master Symmetrist, and 2 Eureka Moment. 5s are Burying Books and Pigment Storm. 2 Burying Books and a Pigment Storm. 6s and above are Snow Day, Double Elemental Masterpiece, Explosive Welcome, and a Bookworm. Lands are 5 Island, 3 Mountain, 8 Forest, and a Prismari Campus. And then our lessons are Introduction to Prophecy and Fractal Summoning.
You know what? This was just a great example of a deep dive on how Marshall drafts because both of these decks sound exactly like what you described before we even started the draft. Team or bad mana?
It's true. The weird part is that my mana is normally amazing because I pick the stupid the Archway Commons and the Letter of Acceptance. Like I'm usually have like 2 each of those. And so the mana ends up not being the problem, but I don't usually get power level on this level.
I'm certainly not picking those cards, so I guess you have access to them.
I do. That's what I mean. I get him 12th, 11th, 12th pick or whatever, and I put him in my deck, and then I can, imagine if you could cast any 2 of these really expensive spells in a game somewhat consistently, like that. Those usually win you the game. An Explosive Welcome and an Elemental Masterpiece, or even a Snow Day and a Bookworm is usually enough to win a game. So I just kind of focus on that. But our mana for both of these decks has been really bad. So that's going to be the thing.
Well, don't undersell the fact that we'll be using those elemental masterpieces as treasures. So that adds like a little bit more,
aggressively doing so. I have 8 forests. It can be kind of difficult to do that. But.
Yeah, well.
All right. So anyway, you've learned how to draft Temur Bad Mana here on the show today. Let's call it a show here, Luis.
We're going to need updates. Next show, we'll have updates on how these decks did. I'm going to be
playing a lot of Modern Horizons 2 over the next few days. As long as these don't go away, I can see if I can hold off for at least one of them for the stream on Tuesday. Or if not, I'll do a video. How about that? So one way or the other, they will be available to be seen. I'll either do a draft video with them and that I'll put up on the LR channel, or I'll do them on my stream if
you can't just play these off stream and be like, yep, I got 7 wins. We're gonna need some evidence.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, let's call it a show. If you want to find us on social media, Marshall_LR and Luis is LSV. You can find everything related to the podcast over at lrcast.com. I want to say thanks to our sponsor channel Fireball. Again, make sure you check them out and check out the CFP Pro Showdown coming up this weekend. If you're a CFP Pro member or become one, you can play in it. Prizes. You might even get a chance to play against the legend William Huey Jensen as well. So definitely recommend checking that out. And if you do end up getting anything, if you use the affiliate code LR, it does help out the show and we appreciate it. That's going to do it for this one. We'll see you next week.
So I don't know if you caught it earlier today, Marshall, but I ranked a bunch of California Magic players, just kind of like randomly. Matt Nass tagged me because someone asked about a ranking of California Magic players.
Oh, no.
I proceeded to fire off a ranking without really thinking much about it.
This always goes so well.
And it goes, it went great. I mean, it was fine. Like, I had to put up some caveats. Like, I did not rank people from before when I started playing. A lot of amazing Magic players from the 90s. And in a couple of cases, I just didn't know people were from California who had like moved there, and the criteria of what does it mean to be from California. I mean, who knows? I've lived in Colorado for a decade, but I wouldn't put myself on a list of like Colorado Magic, like, historical Colorado Magic players either.
Right.
But it made me think, because especially someone asked, what do you think about rankings? It's like, well, I love them. I just did one. Obviously, I'm a fan. But here's some ways to like have rankings go better versus worse. It kind of all depends on what you're aiming for, of course. But assuming your aim is not to sow discord, which that wasn't my aim. This was like my good faith effort at like ranking the Magic players from the era that I was there. There's a couple keys. One is, if it's a positive list, that's a good start, because some doofus got in trouble or got kind of like piled on for ranking, like doing a tier list of all the Magic streamers. And here's why that's a bad idea. You know how tier lists work, right? There's S tier, which is the best for unknown reasons to me. I'm sure people know why, but there's A tier, B tier, but there's also C, D, and F tier. You don't really want to find yourself in like the F tier list or the D tier list. That doesn't feel good. Right. I'm not saying it's never right to make tier lists, but when you're making tier lists of people, you got to be careful about stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you got to know them or be friends with them to make it be received a little better. And even then, that's dicey. I didn't put up a tier list of California Magic players and I'm like, oh yeah, there's Matt Nass. He's in the F tier for sure. I made a list of who I considered like the greatest California Magic players from this era. So everyone on the list is going to be presumably, if not happy, at least not unhappy to be on the list. It's
right.
It's a compliment. Maybe you'll quibble about the order, and there are some people who are like, so this and that. But when it's like a positive list, that's a good start. The other is kind of like know your subjects. Basically everyone on the list I'm either friends with or acquainted with like maybe one or two exceptions. I think that they kind of understand that I'm not, trying to, go after them or make fun of anyone. Because again, especially since it was a list of great Magic players, like that's a good list to be on.
Mm-hmm.
But if I were to like make a list of, if I were going to make a tier list of LR co-hosts.
Oh, God.
For example.
Just random example there. Okay.
Yeah, just a random example. So that would be kind of dicey, right? Like no one's going to be happy about being ranked last or whatever. Especially someone like John Lux, who cares a lot about that sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
But at the very least, these are all people I know, and I'm friendly with. So that's a little different. And then the other thing is, kind of how you present it and what criteria you use matters too. Obviously, like, it's better to be clearer there so people know what's going on. I had to do some clarifications because it wasn't immediately clear.
Oh no.
But the upside is ranking things are fun. There's a reason that all the like sports shows rank people, and I find it a little bit off-putting when people, they always complain about rankings, and I know why they do, and there's a lot of reasons for that. But like, I don't know, rankings are fun. It's fun to do that. It's not the gravest insult in the world if someone doesn't rank you the highest, you know, and it's overall a fun exercise. And you know, I know it's easy for me to say that given that like I ranked myself first, which I am. You know, you can look at the list, but
yeah, I don't think people are going to argue with you on it.
But even in things that I'm not a part of, and so like you remove myself from the equation, I enjoy seeing rankings. I think that they can be a fun exercise, and you know, maybe if someone ranks you low on something, that can be motivation. I know. Well, Sperling's not a great example because he's also a pretty polarizing figure, but he did a preview for a team trios tournament, a Grand Prix, and he ranked some teams really low, and then one of those teams won one of the tournaments. And they like dredged up his tweet and his article and everything, and that's awesome. I love that. I think that kind of banter can be really good, and I think that it's kind of hard to pull off. I understand that, and I'm not perfect at it. Sperling's definitely not perfect at it, but getting that kind of like pro wrestling style banter where you're like, you know, I don't know, heels and faces and all that stuff. I think Magic could use more of that, not less. Like a lot of people get up in arms about croquis, for example. I find the whole thing very funny. Yes, croquis makes doofus statements, but you know what? That's awesome. More of that, less people complaining about tier lists, in my opinion, at least. So
yeah,
all I'm saying is get ready for the steel chair, Marshall.